Okay, we're going to start by laying down on our backs. And as you lay, arrange yourself, rearrange yourself, and just take a few minutes. We're going to spend like maybe 2-3 minutes observing how the muscles are able to let go or to stay holding on the tonicity that we had standing up vertical. As we go down, we don't have the gravitational or have less of gravity pulling on us. And in theory, we should be able to let go the holding that's happening when we are vertical. And we're going to take just a short time to observe which part of your body is letting go and which part is not letting go. Is one side holding more than the other side? Maybe you have a pattern of holding down your right leg and then more on your left side of your back. Maybe you're zigzagging somehow. Is what I'm saying completely foreign, or can you hear my words and translate them to how you sense and feel your own body?
It's very clear. Yeah, good.
So how much tension there is on the right heel versus the left heel? How much space there is between the floor and the ankle? How much space between the floor and the back of your knees? How much space between the floor and your lower back? How much space between the floor and the right shoulder and the left shoulder? How much space between the floor and the right wrist and the left wrist? And how much space between the floor and your neck? And go ahead and roll to the side and come up to sitting. However it feels good. And we're going to put our hands in front. And what I'm doing today is completely on a whim, kind of like in the exploration. I have no idea where it's going to take me. So we're going to put our hands on the floor. Okay, let me back up. Last week we worked, for the people that weren't here or the people that were here, we worked on taking the fingers and drawing them on the floor and finding the thigh and finding the belly and finding the ribs, and we kept on bringing it until the hand flipped and we went all the way behind the head. So that was the trajectory of last week, exploration. And today I want to do it in sitting. So we're going to start with the hands. Can you reach the hands on the floor? Okay. And we're going to lift the thumb and the second finger and the third finger and the fourth finger and the fifth finger, and we're going to flip. And we're going to bring the little finger, we'll roll it to the floor, and there will be a minute that the fourth finger will want to roll on the floor, on the mat, and the middle one, and the fourth one, and the thumb. So that's the movement. Di-di-di-dim, di-di-di-dim. And you can do it automatically, or you can start playing with it and really find out What does it take to lift the thumb, and can it stay relaxed? And when is the second one coming into play? And when is the third one coming in? And the fourth one coming into play? And the fifth one? And it's your journey, and it's your fingers, and it's your tension. So like when you start rolling back, do you lift your hand, the palm, or do you just roll with heaviness? Try both, lifting a little bit and roll with the whole palm, and see which one feels better. And keep on asking. Some of us here, the right hand is very different than the left hand. You may want to work just with one hand at a time. Is there a place where you build up tension? Like when I bring my middle finger, my fourth finger builds up tension. How much awareness can you get into how you do? Are you holding your thumb, or are you allowing it to be relaxed? And try different things. Stop on the way and explore. And if the hands on the floor are too far, maybe you can put them on your thighs. Maybe that would give you a better. What is the role of the wrist? And the next time that you bring your hands down to your thighs or to the mat, rest there for a minute. And instead of rolling the fingers, let's roll the wrist. Lift the wrist to roll the hand. And lift the wrist to bring the hand back into resting. Lift the wrist. I think it's easier when the knees are a little higher and you don't have all this weight, unless you have a really long torso. I don't know. I have to lean forward. But try different ways.
I have to support my back.
Absolutely. There. You have a little table.
Yeah, thank you.
So we're trying to find the bend at the wrist that's kind of lifts for the turn. I would say something that my mom used to tell me, that a good painter, and you can vouch for that or not, that a good painter does not draw from the fingers movement. They draw from the body.
Oh.
And that resonated with me really well, because the larger muscles are in the core, in the center of the body, and that what gives you the movement and the dexterity is the fingers. So to lift the fingers is more effort than to start maybe with the wrist to lift the fingers. And that's what I was hoping that we're going to find this morning.
That's true.
So we lift the wrist and the hands just follows. The fingers follow. So you're rotating the ulna on the radius. See if you can lift the wrist there. So it becomes like a concave. So it's, yeah. Okay, so now we are puppets and we have little strings attached to the wrist. And somebody pulls the string and let go the string. And lift the strings and they let go the string. And they pull one string after the other. And they lower it after the other. How much you can let go at the wrist. And play with it. They lower it and they lift it in different places in space. And explore it wider than you in your body, higher than your body. Both of them at the same time, one of them. Make it interesting to you. But it's the wrist. The wrist, you attach in a string. How much listening can they be in the wrist? How much softness, how much juiciness can you have in the wrist?
It's hard for the fingers to let go.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Play with it. Play with it even when you don't see it, maybe behind you. And let it go. And just close your eyes for a minute and just get a sense of what the arm and the wrist and the fingers feel like. And how much do you know about them? Next, we're going to have a string attached to our elbows. So now it's the elbow that's being lifted. The wrist is being lifted. And the elbow lets go. The wrist lets go. And the fingers let go. And again, just play with it in different places, different arms. I want to do a lot of exploration, so I'm kind of like... Usually I will do one side and then we'll compare, but not today. The elbow is leading. When does the wrist being pulled with a string? And when does maybe a string on the fingers? And then the letting go of one after the other. Can you find the inner rhythm and the inner wisdom of heavier to lighter? There is a Chinese proverb the lightness, the source of lightness is heaviness. I'm not saying it correctly. הכובד הוא שורש הקלות. Here it comes Hebrew. הכובד הוא שורש הקלות. The heaviness is the source of lightness. So the elbow is the bigger part, then comes the wrist, then comes the fingers, and the elbow and the wrist. You can close your eyes and feel it. You can close your eyes and sense it. You can maybe even bring it from the side and cross to the front and change planes of movement, keeping the elbow, wrist, and fingers. Maybe your elbow has a paint and you're drawing with your elbows, and then the wrist has paint and you're painting with your wrist, and then the fingers have paint and you get 5 little strikes of paint with the fingers. And if you notice, the paint with the elbow coming up will be a different line as when it comes down. The elbow turns inward a little bit when you come down. Same with the wrist. Which arm feels more fluid? Is it the arm that you usually use? Is it the opposite arm? How much knowledge or mapping do you have of your non-dominant arm? Are you moving only one way, or are you crossing from plane to plane? Are you trying different things? Is one finger more dominant than the other as you painting? As the paint is pouring out of the fingertips? Okay, when you come down, let it rest for a minute. When animals go to drink water, they pour the water, they pick up the water and they bring it up to their face, right? So we're gonna turn the easiest way we know now how to, and we're going to bring it up so we can drink. And then we'll bring it down. So now we have a functionality. We want to be able to rotate, create a cup to bring it up. So the wrist will come up, the fingers will turn, we'll get water into our hand, and we'll bring it up. the wrist, the wrist, the wrist, the softness of the wrist, so you have a nice cup to hold the water. Keep on doing it just with one hand until we kind of get the feel of the rotation, the wrist softening, the cupping of the hand, and the lifting. At some point, the hand becomes really heavy and we're going to have to pour it. But if I pour it now, it will pour into the ground, right? So I need to bring my head to it. Right? And bring it down. So it's the wrist, the elbow is turning inward, the hand is becoming a cup. I lift it and I bring my head to it to be able to. And on the way down is as important. How do you relax the elbow? Not the elbow, the wrist, I'm sorry. So the rotation of the radius and the ulna, the elbow turns in, the fingers are moving, the wrist is soft, you're cupping, you're bringing it up, the head is coming towards it. You're drinking, and then the hand can come down as the torso comes up. And you can do it in different speeds. Once you get the feel and the coordination of the elbow, the wrist, the hand, do you bring your face to your hand? Or are you making it hard for yourself? So can I bring my hand all the way up? Yeah. How much tension do I have here? Tons. But if I come softly and I round my back, now I don't have to create tension in my shoulder. And I don't have to lift my shoulder. I can just stay here and meet my hand. Let's try the other hand. And again, stay with the stages of the rotation, the softening of the wrist, the turning of the elbow, the cupping of the hand. Do you have the same type of cup on this hand and the other hand? How far do you get here before it gets, okay, I'm done. From here on it will be tension. And I bring myself to the hand. This is the kind of things that I used to do with the stroke people. I had people that had stroke. Mm-hmm. And you'll see in a minute why. Can I coordinate between the bringing the hand to the face to bringing the face to the hand? With using as least tension, the least amount of force that I need to. The water weighs a little bit, and lifting the arm from the floor to here takes some work, but how easy can I keep it? try lifting the,
Hmm?
when you rotate, try lifting the wrist a little bit before you, there, yeah. Yes, there you go. And try both hands, one after the other, or both hands together. Maybe you can make it with one cup. What are the possibilities of getting yourself a drink of water? And when is it the time to rotate? There you go. Beautiful. And let's keep the arms here, both arms in front of us. And just work with the wrist. And if you let the wrist go, how far will the hands fall? Good. Take one arm, rotate it, bring it up, bring the head down to it. Keep the hand cupping your mouth and bring your head back up with the hand cupped. And see if your shoulders is nice and relaxed. And pour the water in and let it go. Again. Rolling the wrist and the fingers, soft wrist, lifting the arm to the face, face go down to the hand, cup your hand over your mouth, bring the head up, and now the arm is up here. That's what usually stroke victims can't do.
Hmm?
So you just trick them. I like tricking the mind.
Yes. It's a good thing.
Are you remembering to keep your fingers nice and soft and relaxed? Is your wrist soft and relaxed? And once your head is up, your wrist can soften again. So change or sit on the chair. Or go to a wall. Just no suffering. Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Did we do the other hand? No. Now we're going to do the other hand. And are you using only the neck to lift, or are you coming up with the torso as well? Never ends. And the more we use ourselves, the better we are. Let go the wrist, let go the wrist. There you go. We hold tension in so many places that we don't need. And this is just a window into that awareness for all of us besides you, that it's something a little bit different. The spine lifts us, pour the water in the mouth, and you can let go the elbow, the wrist, the hand. And then we can try with two hands, lifting the wrist, rotating the fingers, creating a nice cup, bringing it up to the face, putting the lips at the base of our hands, lifting the torso so the water can just go right in. And then how do we let go without tension? So you can start closing your eyes and just play with it and find the dance that's in it. Or just the functionality. Who comes down first, the fingers or the elbow or the wrist? And if you feel like you want to explore more, maybe you can get water and bring it up and maybe pour it over your head because it's 110 degrees today. Can you get the water to pour over your head with ease without the shoulder getting into trouble by using the elbow and the wrist and the fingers and the torso to come down towards, lift up the torso so the shoulder doesn't have to do it on its own. And maybe you want a little bit more water coming up, so two hands. How do you gather the water? At what stage do you flip your hands and let it fall over you?
Well, it is.
Do you use more of the torso now that it's two hands and you're really trying to reach maybe all the way to your back, not just to the top of your head? Because the back of your neck really feels good with cool water, right? Wonderful. When you're ready, you kind of roll to the side, and from the side, go back down to laying down for a second. And we're going to do a quick rehearsal of what we have done. We looked at how much tension we have in our fingers by lifting one finger at a time and rolling them. And then we allow the wrist to be part of the movement. And then we allow the elbow to be part of the movement. And then we added the torso, all in the attempt to bring water up to our face. And then we had the torso lift up, or the face lift up, and the hand was on our mouth. And then we're able to actually move the whole arm overhead without creating extra tension in the shoulders. So that's kind of a run through of what kind of things we looked at. And now we're going to go back to see in which way your body is now meeting the floor. Did your brain learn to let go of holdings that are not necessary? Because when we say to ourselves, do it, we don't know how to do it. We have no access to it. Maybe this exploration of letting go and sensing opened a space for a new letting go. And take your time to roll to a side, and from the side take your time to find your way into sitting.